Today on the Skid Factory, we're checking out Wayne's XE Falcon.
Welcome back to the Skid Factory, where today we're going to check out one of my good friend's rides, one that was built in the Skid Factory back in the day. It's a genuine bash together over many a late night job. I think we built this in about 2014 actually. So this car is a 1984 XE Falcon station wagon. So it's a Ford, of course. This was a big seller car back in the day, back in the 80s. Possibly because you could fit your entire family into it. Not legally, of course, but we never worried about that back in the 80s. We just used to pack them in the back and keep rolling. So as you can see, it is the true long roof, this thing. It's basically a production hearse. There's no need to extend it. You just got to black out the windows and take out the back seat and start loading the coffins in, and she's ready to go. So my good friend Wayne owns this car. We've known each other for about 40 years. So we used to play around with things back in the day when we were young fellas. He had a car very similar to this that he inherited off his mum and dad, and we fiddled around with that and put a Speedway 6-cylinder engine in it. And it was pretty fast back in the 90s. And as usual, he sort of went on with life, kids and all that sort of stuff, and got out of the car scene for quite a long time. And just out of the blue one day, he called me up and said, I want another Falcon, and I want to put a turbo V8 in it. I tried to convince him to put a Barra in it because that was sort of, much easier thing and a pretty pure sort of thing to throw into one of these old girls, because it's sort of related along the line to the engine that was in it, which was a 6-cylinder pushrod engine. But he was adamant that he was done with these 6s. He's already done that back in the day, so he wanted a V8. He wanted like a turbo Windsor or Cleveland, and after I explained to him that would cost an absolute fortune and the Windsor block would probably split in half if we used that, he relented, and I said, I got this engine sitting in the corner, because I'd actually just bought it just because they were really cheap back in the day, and we could probably try and throw that in there. So he said, oh yeah, let's give it a go. I said, we can just say that it's a Ford modular engine, because no one really knows what they look like in Australia, so we could keep the purity and say that it still had a Ford engine in it. Of course, it's not a Ford. It is a Nissan VH41, so a 4.1 litre V8, quad cam, double overhead cam per bank. It's got 6-bolt mains, a lot of really good stuff actually. This is the second generation of this particular engine. The previous generation basically looks like a VH45 V8, which was a very common engine in the States, but it's only a 4.1 litre. This is the next generation onwards, which the American viewers would probably refer to this as a USDM VH41. It is in fact not that. It is just a Y33 VH41. So they had them in Japan. They all look like that. It's nothing. There's nothing USDM about it. It's just the next generation up. So a lot of US people that are into these Nissan V8s don't consider this a good engine. I don't know why. I think they think that the other engine that they call a JDM VH41, which looks like the old VH45 engine with the weird manifold on it, they think that's better, but it's actually not. This is just a bit newer. This engine makes the exact same amount of power as any of the other V8s I've done, maybe even a little bit more. It's just a revision. So the engine cost bugger all. I think I paid $1,000 for it with a RE4 auto on the back of it. So that was within Wayne's budget. So we set about to throwing it in the car. it is a massive engine, as most quad cam V8s are, but it fitted in there pretty well. And if you want to draw comparisons between this and the Fairlane, this engine bay is actually pretty much exactly the same as the 1970 Fairlane. This actually fits just as well as the 1UZ does. They appear to be bigger, but they're not. It's just a different shaped engine. So it all bolted in there pretty well. The problem with any quad cam V8 is actually getting the exhaust in and out if you're running turbos, which we always do. So we ended up doing exactly what we did with the Fairlane and put the turbo out the front. So to do this, we pushed the engine as far back as we could in the bay and sort of bolted it in there, and then worked out the turbo positioning from there. If you have a look down here, Woody, you can see the turbo is sitting between the radiator and the engine at the front, similar to the Fairlane. It's actually mounted right down low instead of up high, and the exhaust exits from the other side. So it's coming out this way underneath. That was just a packaging thing. That's how it worked out. It's got a couple of big wastegates sitting on top there doing the job, cleverly hidden as oil filters, because Wayne has that kind of sense of humour. So the turbo is a Borg-Warner S366, which is a reasonable match for this. Very cheap turbos, they do the job. They sound like an air raid siren when they're spooling up, which also sounds pretty cool, I guess. It makes 497 horsepower at the wheels on an Australian dyno, which is a real one. So it's pretty stout for a 4-litre engine with stock 4-litre engine. It's completely unopened, haven't done anything to it, just bolted turbo onto it. So no head gaskets, no anything. It's just as it was when it got pulled out of whatever wrecked car they pulled it out of in Japan. So it's been very reliable, not have a problem with it. The transmission is an RE4 03A, which is a big Nissan box, very strong. It is also unopened. We've changed the valve body, so we have sort of taken the pan off and changed the valve body. It's manualised, which is what we normally do with most of the transmissions. It's a Keys valve body, I think, which is a Perth company. So it's just whatever gear you're in, that's what you've got to shift it yourself. So it's not fully automatic anymore. It's using the original column shift because that's what Wayne wanted, which seems to be a bit of a theme with my friends. They like to make things harder for me at times. That works really well. We just had to work out all the bracketry and stuff. All very similar problems to what we had with the Fairlane. And the Fairlane was actually built after this, so we had a bit of an insight into it already. It's just a lot of messing around just to get the ratios right of the lever versus the other lever and all those bits. So works great. The diff we've just ripped out of the back of a late model Falcon with a LSD in it. Again, same as the Fairlane. They're very cheap here. The LSD is reasonable for a factory thing. We've actually just recently replaced it with like a Detroit locker type centre and changed the ratio of it because it was a bit lazy. So this engine doesn't mind a rev, so it's got a 3.7 ratio in it now. So she goes all right. Maybe we should go for a drive.
So Wayne's handed me the keys to the Falcon. Oh, that shift is harsh as. Here's that air raid siren. This is an awesome car to drive. Heaps of room. Wayne, I'm very impressed, mate. This is just absolutely epic. Did you used to own one of these back when you were young too, is that right?
Yeah, I owned a 82 XD sedan.
Yeah, okay.
That was probably the last, last sort of semi-hot car that I would own, and then I sort of stepped away from them into four drives and done the family thing. And then got an urge to get back into it, so I got a family wagon.
Yeah, nice man, nice. This is a great car. So this thing is powered by a Haltech PS2000, a great ECU, good for an 8-cylinder. Now, can you see still get the PS2000? You can't, can you?
No, it's been superseded by the Elite many years ago now.
Where's overdrive, Wayne? Ah, yeah, sweet. So 3-speed on the tree, overdrive button.
There's a converter lock as well if you want it. Down further. So a couple of things about the car. It's got a Z32-300ZX aluminium radiator in it, and I think that's only there because that's what I had lying around.
Sorry, bro.
It's got a fancy intercooler on it that we sort of custom made the tanks and that, and all of that was done to sort of house things so we could, because there's not much room out the front of the car, which is unusual considering the size of it. But yeah, we pretty much just spent many Thursday nights custom making things. And
Was it a Thursday night?
well, I think that's what Wayne thinks. Not real sure.
I remember coming over. This is like the start of my Crusader was built before this, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Had the Crusader done. I remember taking you for a drive actually one day, Wayne.
In the Crusader we did,
Yeah.
That sort of planted the seed.
Yeah.
I needed turbo.
Turbo V8s are the bomb. Geez, that shifter takes some getting used to, eh?
Yeah, I leaned it on my knee like you do.
I know there's some hills around here just to get that turbo spooling because it sounds just amazing. It's
Like an
so
air raid
good.
siren.
And it's a really comfy car to drive. Like, it's just smooth, exactly like the Fairlane, exactly like Mark's Fairlane, just awesome.
But it's got power steering and air conditioning.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think this was like
Another
the
one
car.
of those guys that wants power steering and air conditioning.
Well, it was a family car, guys, so you've got to have some comfort.
This was one of those cars where it was like, you got to do it, and when everyone else asked you to do it from then on in, you were like, nah, not going to happen.
Yeah.
So the 300ZX radiator sits to the side more at the front there, and then there's an AC compressor in front of it, and then the intercooler in front of that again. Man, it brings back memories coming back to the shed to do that. That's...
I just forget all the stupid stuff I've done, otherwise I wouldn't keep doing it. It's like having babies.
So a roundabout up here somewhere, isn't there?
It's a dead end.
Gotta love that noise. It's just
You reckon it'll pick up that?
almost sounds like a ambulance or something.
So, I don't know, is the car finished? What are you planning on doing to it next?
A couple of things now would be, I might put a higher stall in it, and then just finish it off, do some material work, you know, just clean up the rough edges on the old girl. And
Cars are
just drive it.
never finished, are they though?
No, they're not. That's the problem. But we keep doing them.
Yeah.
I reckon we should fix the crank angle sensor.
Yeah, that might be a good job for the shed, alright.
Have we've been saying that for about 2 years.
Yeah, 2 and a bit now.
Probably should commit.
We've got to find room to ride
Anyone
the
in-
bikes too, though.
If anyone in the US has a spare VH41 crank angle sensor, give us a bell.
Next minute influx of crank angle sensors in our inbox. So that is it from us here at the Skid Factory. We're slowly getting through some of the cars that Al has built in the Skid Factory back in the day when it was the old Skid Factory, the OG Skid Factory. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you'd like to support us, jump over to our merch store and buy some merch. We've got some new stuff coming out soon, some stickers, some new shirt designs. As always, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your friends about it, and yeah, thanks for watching. What happened, Dale?
Stopped.
And just your problem?
Only because I have to walk home.
You won't have to walk?
Nah, half hour, she'll be right.
She'll be right.
I should have put more fuel in it.
Do you know what the temperature is right now?
Very hot.
And we're in like the middle of nowhere.
We've just wasted all the water on the sensor.
Just wasted all the water trying to cool down the crank sensor. Whose idea was it to use a Ford sensor, Al?
Yeah, true that. I was trying to keep it pure. Need to put the Nissan one back
Blame it
on.
on the owner. It's the cost factor.
I reckon you could probably cook an egg on this road.
Actually, there's a story behind why it's got that sensor on it.
Why's that?
Because we were going to try and use an LS1 PCM to run it, because we were stupid.
Actually, I remember that.
So we ended up putting sensors and crap all over the front of the engine, and then realising that we were stupid and got a Haltech instead. But yeah, the sensor gets a bit warm.